What's up, guys? This is the Unknown Mustang coming at you with the 7th episode of the Guns of Black Ops series. Today we're going over the Stoner 63, and I don't know, it's a really good gun in game. It has a very high rate of fire. I don't think it's as much as the Mac 11, but it's got a pretty high rate of fire, and I do pretty successfully here. I don't think it's a very campy episode, but I do go flawless. So let's jump in. The Stoner 63. It's also known as the XM22/E1. It's an American modular weapon system designed by Eugene Stoner in the early 60s. It was produced by Cadillac Gage and was used in very limited numbers in Vietnam by members of the United States Navy SEALs and several law enforcement agencies. In August and September of 1963, the Stoner 63 was sent to the Marine Corps Landing Force Development Center in Quantico for evaluation, where it made a positive impression with its lightweight and high ammunition capacity. The Marines favored the rifle and the light machine gun configurations. Trials were performed by the Army Materiel Command. They're also responsible for the logistics support for the Marine Corps. They tested that at their own test facilities. Many bugs affected the outcome of the Army's trials on the gun. For example, the ammunition requirements proposed were unrealistic, and the weapon was expected to perform with an extremely wide range of port pressures, leaving very little power reserved for some ammunition types. For instance, the tracer ammunition used in the Stoner 63 was of such low pressure that it even failed to function reliably into the M16. These factors severely affected the weapon's reliability. After several months of testing, the Stoner 63 system was ultimately deemed to be unacceptable for service use. The Army submitted recommendations for improvement to the design. These included a stainless steel gas cylinder and a 2-position fire selector, including a separate safety, ejection port dust covers, and modifications to the belt feeds mechanism. The upgrades resulted in the improved Stoner 63A, which began production in 1966. Only 2,000 examples of the initial version were manufactured before the transition into the Model 63A. Now, the Stoner 63 was produced in several configurations with 15 separate assemblies. I'm only going to go over about 4 of them because basically they're all the same thing, just with minor differences and minor differences to details, basically. Now, there's the 4 I'm going to go over. One of them is the Stoner 63-63A rifle, which is a standard assault rifle fed from the below by a 30-round box magazine. Spent cases are ejected to the right, made for that right there. I thought that was my guy. I didn't know that it wasn't. Thought he was a camper. So the spent cases are ejected to the right, meaning this is for a right-handed shooter. That you also have the Stoner 63A carbine, which is similar to the rifle configuration, but with a shorter barrel and a folding shoulder stock. Now, the gun we may be seeing here, I'm not completely sure on what gun we are seeing here, but there's also this configuration of the Stoner 63A light machine gun. The light machine gun configuration fires from an open bolt and is fed from the right-hand side by linked ammunition containing 100 rounds in a plastic box. The receiver is identical to the rifle variants, but is inverted so that the spent cases are ejected from the left. Now, this gun is intended for either a left-handed shooter or a left-handed shooter that wants to fire from the hip. It's left hand only, basically. Now, the 4th one we're going to go over right now is the Stoner 63A Commando. Now, this is not the gun that is so badass it needs a seatbelt. This is just another variation of the Stoner 63. Now, the Commando variant is a derivative of the light machine gun configuration. It is fed from the right by a 100-round drum magazine clipped below the receiver. The cocking handle is mounted underneath the foregrip for easier access. This variant was used sometimes by the United States Navy SEALs units in Vietnam. Now the last variant I want to go over, I know the last one I said was going to be the last one, but this one I feel is kind of important. This one is the Stoner 63 survival rifle. Now the survival rifle was designed in 1964 to compete with the Colt Model 608 as an aircrew self-defense weapon. Now you might remember the 608 as a commando? Weird. It is mechanically similar to the rifle configuration, but has several external modifications made to fit into United States Air Force size constraints. These include a cut-down pistol grip, an absent handguard, shortened barrel and receiver, and a top-mounted cocking handle. The survival rifle does not incorporate the 63A upgrades. Only one prototype was ever produced, and it still survives to this day. Now, in 1970, the U.S. Army designated the Commando configuration XM207 and issued it to select Army Special Forces units for evaluation. However, due to its complex and high maintenance requirements, especially when compared to the new M16 of the time, the design was rejected, and the project was dropped in 1971. Now, around 4,000 63 and 63A units were built in total. Most of them continued to see use by U.S. Navy SEAL teams under the designation of M63A1. However, by the late 1980s, the Stoner 63 was completely phased out in favor of the new M249 SAW, and most of the remaining guns were destroyed. But today, surviving models number in the dozens. Now, I know this is the end of the game. Now we're going to have a picture of the Stoner 63. This is the rifle configuration. And, that's the Stoner 63 in a nutshell. It's good, American, pretty gnarly gun, I would say. It's pretty good in-game, too. Try it with extended mags. So I am the Unknown Mustang, and I will see you guys later.